The hotel lobby sparkled like gold, but Maria's shoes were worn thin. She had been working double shifts for weeks, cleaning rooms, serving drinks, carrying trays heavier than her pay could ever justify. Yet she never complained. That evening, the autumn wind howled outside as the revolving door spun open. In walked a tall man in a tailored navy suit, exuding wealth like perfume. He was Richard Hale, a self-made millionaire known as much for his arrogance as for his money. His watch alone could have paid Maria's rent for a year. He took a seat at the bar, waving to the staff like a king expecting his court to bow. "Whiskey. Neat," he said without looking up from his phone. Maria, assigned to cover the bar that night, nodded with a polite smile. "Yes, sir." But as she turned, he chuckled and said loud enough for everyone to hear, "Hold on." He leaned back on the stool, smirking. "You don't sound American. Where are you from?" Maria froze for a moment. "I'm from Honduras, sir." Richard's smirk deepened. "I thought so. Tell you what, let's make this fun." He slid a crisp, the 100 bill onto the counter. "If you can serve me in perfect English, I'll give you $1,000. Deal." The other staff glanced over awkwardly. Some looked down. It wasn't the first time Richard Hale played one of his little games. Maria hesitated. "Sir, I already speak English." "Oh, I can tell," he laughed. "But I mean real English. You know, fluent, proper, no accent. You people usually mess that up." The air went cold. Maria wanted to walk away, but something in her, maybe pride, maybe exhaustion, made her stay. She smiled softly and said, "All right. Challenge accepted." She turned, her movements graceful, deliberate. She poured his whiskey, slid the glass gently toward him, and said in perfect, crisp English, "Here's your drink, sir. I hope it meets your expectations." His eyebrows lifted, mildly impressed. "Not bad," he said, "but not perfect either." Maria didn't flinch. She tilted her head slightly and continued, this time switching languages. "Choir hilo caniso," she asked in fluent Spanish. "O prefieres vos la boire per," she added, seamlessly moving into French. Then in Italian, "Forse un bicchiere di vino sarebbe meglio." And then in Mandarin with delicate precision finally, she ended in flawless Arabic. The bar went silent. Richard blinked, his phone forgotten. His mouth opened, then closed. "Yo, you speak all those languages?" Maria gave a humble shrug. "5, sir. I used to work as a translator before I came here. But life changes." Something cracked in Richard's face, that confident mask of superiority. He glanced down at the untouched 100 bill, then at her hands, rough from work, trembling slightly from exhaustion. "How did you end up here?" he asked quietly. She smiled, the kind of smile that carries pain behind it. "My husband passed away. I moved here to support my daughter's education. This was the only job I could find quickly." For a moment, Richard said nothing. The man who built empires, who measured worth by the size of a bank account, was now staring at a woman who'd lost everything, yet stood before him with more dignity than he'd ever known. Finally, he cleared his throat. "Maria, I owe you more than an apology." He reached into his wallet, pulled out not one, but 10 $100 bills, and placed them gently on the counter. "I don't want this to sound like charity," he said. "I just realized I've been speaking one language my whole life, and somehow, I still manage to say the wrong things." Maria hesitated. "Sir, I can't accept." "Please," he interrupted softly. "Call it a lesson fee." She laughed lightly. "A very expensive one?" He smiled. "Worth every penny?" From that day, Richard Hale changed in ways people noticed. He started learning Spanish, hired immigrant workers in his company, and even funded language scholarships for hotel staff across the city, in Maria's name. As for Maria, she used that money to finally bring her daughter to the U.S., helping her start college. And every time she served a guest, she carried herself not as a waitress, but as a woman who once reminded a millionaire what humanity really sounded like, in every language on earth. It was a quiet evening in downtown Chicago. The rain tapped lightly against the glass windows of the Regency Grand Hotel, where the scent of polished wood and fresh linen filled the air. Guests in designer coats hurried in from the drizzle, shaking off the cold, their laughter echoing in the golden-lit lobby. Behind the bar stood Maria Alvarez, a woman in her early 30s with tired eyes but a warm smile. Her black uniform was neatly pressed, her hair tied back, and though her hands were calloused from long shifts, there was grace in every movement she made. Maria wasn't just any worker. She carried herself with quiet dignity. The kind that comes from having lived through storms no one else could see. She had left Honduras 3 years ago after her husband's sudden passing. With her small daughter, Sofia, back home with her mother, Maria had come to America with nothing but courage and a promise to give her daughter a better life. Every night, after serving cocktails and clearing glasses, she'd video call Sofia. They'd talk about homework, dreams, and the day Sofia would come join her. But tonight, something different was about to happen. Something that would change both their lives forever. Around 8 p.m., the revolving door spun, and in walked a man who turned heads instantly. Tall, confident, dressed in a navy suit that probably cost more than Maria made in 6 months. Richard Hale, a name everyone in Chicago's business circles knew. Real estate tycoon, investor, philanthropist, and as many whispered, a man with a sharp tongue and an even sharper ego. He sat at the bar, tossing his phone carelessly onto the counter. "Whiskey. Neat?" he ordered, not even glancing up. Maria approached politely. "Right away, sir." She began preparing the drink with her usual focus, the clink of ice, the soft pour of amber liquid. But before she could serve it, Richard chuckled under his breath. "You've got an accent," he said, half amused. "You're not from here, are you?" Maria paused for a second. "No, sir. I'm from Honduras." He smirked. "Ah, thought so." He leaned back, loud enough for nearby guests to hear. "Tell you what. Let's have some fun. If you serve me in perfect English, I'll give you $1,000. The staff nearby froze. Maria blinked, unsure if she'd heard right. "I'm sorry?" He grinned. "You heard me. $1,000. Speak perfect English. No accent, no mistakes. Think you can do it?" A few guests turned their heads. Some looked uncomfortable. Others waited, curious to see what would happen. Maria felt her chest tighten. It wasn't the first time someone mocked her accent. But this was public humiliation, disguised as a game. Still, she took a quiet breath and smiled. "All right, sir. Challenge accepted." She poured the whiskey, slid it toward him, and said clearly, "Here's your drink, sir. I hope you enjoy it." Her English was nearly flawless. Richard raised an eyebrow. "Not bad," he said, "but not perfect either." Maria didn't reply. Instead, she leaned forward slightly and said calmly,